And we are live with the One More podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the One More podcast, the what used to be weekly podcast of Persona 4 Arena. I'm Burning Sheep.
I'm Dasa, bro.
Hello. Oh, there we go.
Okay, and I am Koopa.
And I'm Brad.
Perfect.
All right, so it's been a little while since we got started again, but a lot has happened. Acid Bro went down to Southern California and watched his teammates take a lot of tickets to Philadelphia, not for the dinner or anything. But also, we've got Brett here, who is one of the more amusing streamers for Persona 4. And so we're actually going to be talking to him a little bit. So do you guys want to say about anything before we get into the heart of this interview?
I'm
right.
pretty much good for whatever.
All right. So Brett, just tell us about yourself and tell us how you got into fighting game.
So I usually introduce myself by saying I am a Guilty Gear player. You know, I played random stuff when I was young. Yeah, I played like, Soul Calibur, a lot of like random stuff like Smash, but I pretty much only considered myself as like a fighting game player when I started playing Guilty Gear. Some guy brought Reload over in like last year high school. My friends got really serious about it, and I went to UCLA, which is a pretty good place to go if you wanted to learn fighting games. Maybe not now, but back then I was playing a lot of Guilty Gear with people like The Biter, who's now really known for Kanji, but back then, still now, he's a really, really strong Soul player. And, you know, UCLA was actually the place where it used to have EVO and stuff, so people like Z came from UCLA. In North, actually, Ernest, a Song, and Fred are all from UCLA, as well as people like Combo Fiend used to show up there as well, and people from old school Team Run like Saif, KID, and those people all showed up from UCLA area stuff. So I kind of was able to play against a lot of strong people like Matt T Party as well, and of course Anthony, aka Cyblade, who runs Golden Roddy, that me and Guilty Gear YouTube channel. So yeah, I pretty much played Guilty Gear, thought it was really fun, and I wanted to get better.
All right, so your mic's kind of breaking up for us here, Brett. I don't think that it's because you're in Japan, given that Japan has better internet than we do. Could you check your connection, see why you're coming through like a robot and breaking up a little bit?
Yeah, you're actually coming off like a robot too on my end, so I'm not
okay.
really sure.
Okay, then I'll do
Robot takeover.
Alright, then how about this?
Wait, but no, Koopa sounds fine. Koopa sounds fine.
Oh, I see. See, I'm not the robot, guys.
I think
Okay.
I think Dacid sounds okay too,
Okay.
but I don't sound okay.
Alright.
You actually sound better now. Did anything change?
I don't know. How does it sound now?
Sounds good.
perfect.
Sounds good.
All right, whatever. We'll blame it on magic. All right, so anyway.
I'll blame the leprechauns or something.
Yeah. So anyway, now that the sound seems to be fixed a bit, let's see here. So just to recount, you're from UCLA. You used to play a lot with like The Biter, who is another old school guy. Like, so do you consider yourself old school?
I don't consider myself old school at all. I was always that guy who was, you know, that kid who's really, really bad with gear. I'd show up to these West Coast tournaments, West Coast, back when they had West Coast. I just get blown up, and I was, you know, I could never win. I still don't know the name of this one, like, black guy who played Eno that I could never beat. It wasn't like it was some other guy. I'd always lose to him. I don't even know his name.
Okay. And so, what convinced you, like, to start your stream? What keeps you going on your stream?
Well, you know, I live in Japan, and one of the things about living in Japan is I had access to stuff that not a lot of other people had. So I pretty much started streaming because when I was in college, I played Demon Souls, a really awesome game that I still really like. And when Dark Souls was being released as a sequel, I decided to pick it up and stream it because I was pretty much the only person who had access to the game because the Japanese release was a week earlier. And I really liked playing it. So I said, hey, I will stream this game because I don't know, streaming sounds fun. You know, I was watching stuff like at the time I was playing a little bit SC2, so I was doing things like watching GOM TV, GXLs, and watching D9 and stuff. And I said, hey, streaming's really cool. I'll stream for fun. I hadn't really done anything like it before. So, you know, I ran my stream. It was a pretty awful resolution. I think I actually still have the archives from day one, and it's really ugly. The resolution is completely off. There's random sidebars, even though it's a widescreen resolution. And people showed up out of nowhere. I think people posted my stream on things like the video games, you know, V from 4chan, all kinds of other stuff. And I was just like, well, I'm going to play Dark Souls because it's a cool game. And apparently the mic's messed up.
Yeah, actually, what's going to happen right now is we're going to restart the conversation. I'll call all of you again. Hopefully everything will improve. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
All right, sorry about this.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Like, is this something I'm doing wrong? Is there a setting I'm trying to fix?
no, you should be fine. It just sounds really odd right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get everyone to call again, and then we'll be right back, okay?
Hey, let me try. Okay.
Okay. Gotta let Skype know that that conversation was only fair. A 5-5 matchup. Okay, how about now?
Sound fine to me.
Okay.
How do I sound?
You sound better.
Okay.
Talk for 5 seconds, Brett. Just
Yeah.
give us like a stream of thought for 5 seconds.
Okay. I'm sitting in my room and I'm noticing that my light is on. In
You're a
my kitchen.
robot.
What?
Have you checked your options? Are you talking through your mic, or do you have your webcam on and Skype thinks your webcam is your mic?
Let me check.
Alright, so tools and options. You can do that for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be that your
Welcome to
level
the
picked up
Skype
is
call troubleshoot with Dom, Decibro, and Brett.
I have the microphone automatically adjusts all microphone settings. It's set on the right microphone.
I'm putting it on high. Yeah,
Alright, I'll-
not automatic.
Okay, I'll take it to automatic. How's this sound?
Keep talking.
Talking.
That sounds
you
much
know.
better, I think.
But better.
Much
definitely.
better?
I think
Okay.
it's much better.
Okay.
Alright.
I'm gonna like pause. So please interrupt me if it, you know, when I'm talking. I tend to be long-winded, so really just interrupt me. I don't care. So if something messes up, just let me know.
Alright, gotcha.
All right. Should I just restart that entire question?
You can go where you left off.
Okay. So yeah, I pretty much said I'm gonna stream Dark Souls. Sounds like fun. People liked it. Back then I was still working, so I just kind of said, well, I'm gonna play games, and there's nothing stopping me from streaming while playing games. So I'll just stream whenever I'm playing games, and that's pretty much what I've done. That's what I'm doing now.
Okay. And so, what keeps you going in terms of just like ideas for new and exciting things, like your famous Cooking with Brett series, for example?
Yeah, you know, it started out just because I said, well, I'm really bad at cooking, and at the time, my diet was really bad because I wasn't cooking. I was eating like instant sobas like every day, and I had the notion that it would be cheaper as well as probably better for me to just cook. So I said, okay, I'll cook, and you know, since I pretty much stream everything I do, I might as well stream cooking.
Okay.
Pretty
Are you taking
straightforward.
notes?
I you know, pretty much everything I do involving streaming goes with that philosophy, which is if I can stream it, if there isn't anything preventing me from streaming it, I might as well stream it. That, aside from, you know, sleeping, I pretty much stream everything.
Okay. I I want to ask 2 follow-up questions for that. Okay.
Yeah.
The first follow-up question is, what is your most memorable experience cooking on stream? Go ahead.
Can I answer that one too?
You know that one?
I want to hear Das's answer.
For me, it would definitely be the time when Brett realized he had left his cooking light on, or his like pilot light, the thing that fills up the room with gas slowly.
Okay.
he came into the kitchen and noticed that had been on for a very long amount of time, and somehow he decided that discover whether or not the room was flammable would be to light a lighter. So everyone in the stream is like, Brett, no, Brett, stop, Brett. And he's like, no, this we're gonna find out real quick. And I tell him, you should at least, like, if you're going to be completely retarded, you should at least leave the room and then enter the room with the lighter, so that at least you won't die if it is. So what I didn't understand was apparently the best way for Brett to leave the room was through his window.
What?
So he opens up the window and goes outside and comes back through the window with like his lighter lit and a huge smile on his face. And it like immediately became a meme. It was like posted everywhere as the flaming Brett.
Oh, incredible.
And that was definitely my favorite cooking moment.
So the question is that full retard, or is there another full retard moment, like for when you went full retard?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I'm not sure if that one, if that, you know, the thing is, if you actually watch the archive of that moment, so I'm sitting there at my desk with a lighter, and I'm seriously like thinking about pulling the trigger, right? And I'm seriously like, you know,
No.
I'm gonna die if I pull this, and you can see me contemplating my life. I'm just like, is this worth it? I'm like gambling. I'm basically playing Russian roulette, right? I'm sitting in front of my desk going, okay, there's like maybe a 5% chance that there's gas in my apartment, and there's like a 5% chance that I pull this trigger that I am just gonna die. Now it might be a small chance. After a while, I just go, okay, you know, I'm not gonna do this. I'll go outside the window first and then do it.
Oh god.
I think I might have saved his life.
That's a really good moment. Some classic moments are also like when I spilled the pepper in the very first episode. In general, that was the very first episode was pretty messed up. I did things like I thought meat was oil.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So I bought what I thought was oil, but it was actually meat.
Go on.
I didn't actually know what meat was until I started cooking. So
you
I thought it was
rice
oil.
wine as oil.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, all right. Well, let's make this more about Persona. Let's bring this back to Persona 4. Okay, let's bring this back and not talking about how Brett wants to kill himself constantly, like that dog in One Crazy Summer.
All right. let's go ahead and do that.
So actually, tell us about your motivation to move to Japan and how it affected your gaming. Because there's a lot of people who contemplate. It's like, yeah, I should go to Japan. I should, train at the same arcades that Daigo goes to. The same arcades that Choco and Mihei and all of these guys, right? Where they go, and I can play the best and become the best. So
Right.
Was that somehow in your mind when you went to Japan? Or was that just sort of a side effect?
Well, I when I was young, I actually did a bunch of exchange programs to Japan. This is actually before I even got into anything remotely Japanese. Just kind of through coincidence, I had studied, and it was part of my one of my middle school's programs. So I had a lot of experience living abroad in Japan, and I had always wanted to kind of go the full mile and really stay there for an extended time, because those were kind of only maybe 1 week, 2 week, 1 month things. So I just decided, I want to try living abroad, at least for a moment. at least for some long extended period of time. So I said, hey, I'll apply to some job position that gets me in Japan, and I'll try this out and see how it works. And yeah, it worked out. I mean, it's obviously a huge bonus to me, and I'd be lying if I said it wasn't part of my incentive to say that I wanted to live in Japan to, play and get stronger at games and stuff like that. So that definitely plays a part, and it's been really great. So I do highly recommend it. But if anything, I don't recommend it solely as a way to get better at fighting games. Obviously, that's going to help, especially if you live in an area without good competition, regardless. But living abroad anywhere is always a good experience. Just as a person, I think it's important to try it out at least once.
Okay. Meanwhile, so how is the change from being in America to adjusting to the full-on Japanese lifestyle?
There are a lot of things. I mean, you guys all live in West Coast, so I can just say to fellow West Coasters too that you'll understand when I say that the weather is a big thing for me here. Now, people in other places in America might have similar weather to Japan, but it is very hot here in the summers, and it's very cold here in the winters.
Wait, hold on. Brett, you used a word that I don't understand. What's weather?
It's something outside of California. I know it doesn't exist normally, but I have learned that word since I've come here.
Okay.
Because I don't know about you guys, but it was like 65 and sunny here today.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Okay.
honestly, when I talked to my students back when I was working as a teacher, I would tell them that, I would tell them what the numbers roughly in what's cold in California and what's hot in California, and they would just look at me and think I'm crazy. They're seriously like, really?
Cold is about 60, hot is about 75.
Yeah, I would tell them cold is like what people in Japan set their like air conditioners to, and hot is what they set their air conditioners to.
Oh man.
So yeah, definitely weather. Things are a lot more convenient here, and I'm sure everyone's heard that. Trains are amazing. I used to live in SoCal, where you have to drive everywhere, and for the first 2 to 3 years in SoCal, I was basically begging and getting people to drive me places to go to events. The biter basically drove me everywhere, him and a couple other players, and having to have a car everywhere is a pretty big liability, and it's really, really nice living in Japan where you can pretty much go anywhere without a car.
I wonder what that's like. Koopa? Could you tell us a little more about that?
Okay, so life without a car involves a lot of teleporting, you see. And I use my instant transmission powers by paying money to our lovely CEO, Scott. And somehow we're always late, but that's okay. At least things are cheaper that way.
Teleporting is slow.
Exactly.
You have to set up their TVs first, and then you have to... it's really predictable sometimes, and it's only like a 50-50 unless you want to use meter, so...
Precisely.
But yeah, I'm so jealous of Japan's train system. That was one of the most amazing things when I was there.
Mm.
You could just go anywhere. Like, you look at the map, it's like it has BART, and like New York's actually comparable, but like Japan's train system just like has so many small branches. Like, you can go pretty much anywhere.
Oh, Brett, I do have a very quick question for you, but I'm pretty
Yeah,
interested.
go for it.
Okay, so you've been in Japan for a while now, and I was wondering, are there any particular locations that you frequent? For example, an arcade?
Yeah, the arcade I go to is mainly Urban Square.
Okay.
Urban Square is where they hold God's Garden, I believe.
Ah.
And it's one of the bigger arcades in Nagoya. And I go there primarily because it's the only arcade where people really play Guilty Gear a lot.
Oh, okay.
There's another arcade I frequent called Kingjoy where I go to play Gundam a lot too. But Urban Square also has Gundam, and it's a pretty good area for Guilty Gear primarily, and also Gundam.
All right, thank you.
So actually, speaking of Guilty Gear, the next question that we had on our list was, what's the best way to bring people back to an old game, in your opinion? Like, the examples in here are that JoJo's got re-released, but you don't really see it anywhere other than, like, maybe 3 guys at a TV, and I think Thursday Night Throwdowns tries to have it every once in a while as a side tournament, but this one's really applicable to Guilty Gear. Just how do you think that you can bring people back to those games?
I honestly, it is hard. It's a tough question, right? I think if a game is good, even if it's old, if it's good enough, it shouldn't matter. But it's true that it's really hard for us to compete with new games just because new is always more exciting, But I would say this is just what I do for Guilty Gear. Is I just try and hammer into people that it's a really good game. It's not really fancy, and there's no real shortcuts about it. I always talk about how much I love Guilty Gear and how much Guilty Gear has put every other game I've ever played in a different light, and it's truly changed the way I think about fighting games. And I just try and push for people to give it a chance. If people don't like it, then that's all there is to it. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. But I'm confident, and when I say it's a great game, and I know that people who do give it a shot will be playing it. So honestly, for me, I would say strong players, or just it's having its own presence in the community. We're fortunate in West Coast that a lot of people come here from a Guilty Gear background, or are somehow involved in the Guilty Gear background. In NorCal, a lot of people play Guilty Gear, and people in Japan and America, look at RF Kaznoko from Street Fighter, who's also Inoue. Lots of players come from Guilty Gear backgrounds. So for that kind of game, it's really easy, I think, compared to other games, to try and get people to get involved in it. Games like JoJo, it's pretty hard because our community for that game in America is really, really slim, and not very many people hear about it. It's just that one game everybody wishes they could play. It doesn't help that it's also very executionally difficult, and it's just a really hard game.
And also
I think it really does come down to
hell.
community. Say what?
And also that it's broken as hell.
I think it's okay. Aside from Pet Shop, the game's okay.
I was about to bring that up. So is Pet Shop actually banned forever, or?
Yeah, he's banned from tournaments.
Yeah, okay.
He's banned in tournaments, but apparently NetPlay does not make a distinction.
That's a problem.
That's a huge problem.
I think that's awful, but I mean, it's just a port, so they probably don't care, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. And then the last question on this list, before we get to the viewer questions, is do you plan to come back to America? And if so, when? Do you have a plan for what you're going to do?
I do plan on coming back to America. I probably will be coming back to America at the end of February. And my plans when I come back to America are primarily to help out in the community wherever I'm going to be based, which probably will be NorCal. So you guys will probably be seeing me a lot at NCI and NCD. And I already try to help with Decania and the other NorCal people as much as I can from here, with helping them with logistics and just talking things through when I can. But I do want it does really, the biggest problem I think for me living here is just that sometimes I want to help more in America and I can't. So I definitely want to get back to that.
If James Shea moves out, there might be a bigger spot for you in SoCal than in NorCal, but I guess you have more friends up here then? Is that why you would be coming back to NorCal instead of SoCal?
Well, it depends on, obviously I want to look for a job related to a field that I want to do stuff in. So, if I can get a job in SoCal, I might consider it. I love both NorCal and SoCal. I've lived in both areas extensively. Mm-hmm. And, so I really do miss a lot of the SoCal players as well. So it just kind of depends on how things play out. I'll probably, I'll stay in NorCal in the beginning for sure because I'm more comfortable with it. But we'll see how things go.
I see. And so that's pretty much it for the questions that Koopa had prepared. Koopa, Dasabro, do you have anything before we go to the stream?
We want you in NorCal.
We want you bad.
That sounded kind of...
that way.
Bromo. We'll go with Bromo. That sounds okay to me, at least. Brett, yeah, I do have a few other questions I'd like to ask you, if it's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so how did you get into the NorCal Guilty Gear community? What's the story of that?
I pretty much played Guilty Gear a lot, and when I moved back up to NorCal, prior to my move, I met a bunch of the Guilty Gear players in NorCal at things like Fanime, AX, and when they would come to visit for things like the Melty AM gatherings as well as Pulsar barbecues.
Oh yeah.
So particularly people like Mags, I had played against and known, and players like Tenkai and Dekanya, particularly like Dekanya, and also Sarsapari Jang, who doesn't really show up that often anymore. But those kind of players, would come down to lots of SoCal events, and so I knew them already. And the Guilty Gear community in NorCal is kind of new. A lot of those players, not new anymore, right? I mean, people like Mags and Tenkai have been playing the game for a while now, but it's still relatively new compared to, people in SoCal. Look at Stormlock and Purin. Those guys have been playing the game since, the ancient times. Ancient times. So, compared to perhaps other regions, I feel like NorCal's region is fresh, and that's not a bad thing either. But it's not particularly difficult for me to, get as with their community because, we're all kind of new players. I mean, I've pretty much been playing about the same length of time as players like Mags and Tenkai. We're around the same, length of time learning the game. So we're all learning together. So, it's pretty easy to make friends with, those kind of players in that kind of community when everyone's basically working together trying to step up their game and learn a game.
Okay. The other question I had for you was, I was talking to Rod earlier today, and we were wondering why would you choose Narcombee as your main in Persona 4 Arena?
He has a sword.
Okay.
And no other character actually has a sword. If I recall. I suppose I suppose Thanatos has a sword. Thanatos is really cool though, and he's one of the first characters I subbed, Thanatos.
Okay.
That other girl associated with him is not really important, but Thanatos is a cool guy.
What? You don't play Elizabeth for Elizabeth. You just play Elizabeth because she has a sword.
Thanatos is cool,
she doesn't
man.
have a sword.
Oh, her persona.
Come on. Thanatos is cool. Come on.
Okay.
He's got coffins and stuff. He's
honestly,
you can't really tell if he's supposed to be a bird or a demon.
Liz is not. Liz has almost nothing for herself. It's pretty much all Thanatos.
Yeah, she's a bus driver, and her normals suck.
She's a bus driver?
Wait, so you said that you like coffins and stuff. That means you played Dizzy in Guilty Gear then?
No, I didn't say I like coffins. I just said he had coffins. It contributes to the interesting character design that he is, or something like that.
Okay.
I think he has coffins. I'm not sure. He does put people in coffins.
Yes.
I'm just okay with that, honestly. I mean, it's just, it's okay.
Okay, so if you like swords so much, why doesn't it contribute to your cooking skills?
Well,
what does that even mean?
Man, you went there.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just a giant cooking fraud. I know.
Have to answer this,
I'm just a theory fighter when it comes to cooking. I might say I know how to cut stuff, but I don't know how to cut stuff.
Wait, Koopa, I have to ask a question back to you now. What do swords have to do with cooking? Are you watching old Saturday Night Live? Are you watching The Samurai Chef or something?
No.
What is going on here?
No, I just thought, if he's like amazing with sword characters, maybe he could transfer those sword character skills to using a knife, which is a little bit
I'm just trying to think of
they're not the same though. You don't actually stab people when you use knives.
Oh, I'm not sure. Are you sure you haven't ever cut yourself before by accident?
Oh, I have on stream, but that's not the point. That's still not stabbing. That's slicing.
Oh, okay. Well, let's not ever go to stabbing then.
I'm trying to think of who in fighting games uses cooking implements, and all I think of is Servbot right now.
Oh, fighting game. El Fuerte.
El Fuerte,
El
he doesn't
Fuerte.
use the pan though.
No, that's pretty good. No, I'm gonna give that to Dacid. I'd give him the points if I was playing. Definitely.
Okay.
Oh, Brett, I have an unrelated question, but I figure you're obviously a person to come to for Guilty Gear. I'm actually interested in picking up Jam. Do you have any just generic advice that I could frantically write down notes for?
She's really good. Write that down.
I already knew that.
All of her normals are amazing. You know, you're obviously a player who understands frame data, so all I have to say is look at her frame data and be amazed by it.
Where can I
Though
find
you
that?
can say that about a lot of characters in Guilty Gear. But obviously 2S is amazing. A really, really great... You can really just blow up people for mashing throw with 6H because it's throw invincible and leads to lots of damage. Puffball is amazing. You have a ton of amazing tools. As a player who plays generally in-fighter characters, I think you really come to love her air normals too because they have amazing priority and you know they'll do exactly what you want. She has all the tools to win as an in-fighter character.
Could you come back to where can I find the frame data?
You can go to Dustloop. In fact, you can actually just be lazy like me and Google Guilty Gear frame data and maybe Dustloop. You might not even need to include Dustloop, and it should be the first result.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so
I guess that's all I need.
perfect. If you guys have any other questions for Brett, anyone?
I'm looking at Facebook, actually, and I'm reminded of Dark Talon's question for Brett, which is, how do you get away with so many dragon punches?
That's so important. I want to know that too.
He plays retards.
Das is touching on a very good point here. Yeah, I play a lot of bad people.
I'll play.
You know, honestly, two things. First of all, I don't all the time. It is true that I just net play and I play a lot of people with varying skill level. But if you see me play against people who I respect, I will not DP that much because it is bad, and a lot of it is simply people being new and not knowing how to deal with it or punish it. You can probably get away with DPs even more in America than in Japan, But people also just don't know how to punish it that well. Depending, there's no secret to it. I just DP when I think they're going to press a button, and sometimes I'm right about it, and when I'm not, we forget about that.
So Dark Talon, if you're listening, the key is disrespect. Sorry, go ahead, that's it.
No, that's fine. You brought up something really important. If your opponent is not punishing dragon punches well, you can use that tool way too much because you're supposed to 4,000 to 8,000 damage punish every time you miss a dragon punch. But if your opponent's punishing for 1k, go nuts. It does not matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see me play against people who, if they can't punish it, the DP doesn't do that much damage, but on counter hit, you get Oki, and that's a momentum shift. So if they can't punish it, also, that was before I realized how amazing cross slash is.
Oh, dude.
Oh, you've subscribed to the school of Jayuna.
Yeah. So I didn't know about cross slash at all when I was first playing the game because I didn't really understand Awakening in the first week of playing the game, and maybe even the second week. So when I realized how amazing cross slash is, I still DP'd, but I cross slashed too. So,
what's great is when you put them both together. So that if your opponent just tries to block your DP, it actually is completely safe.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I usually don't get to play characters with DPs in fighting games. And on top of that, in a game where a DP is a shortcut that can't be messed up on input. So I kind of go ham in this game because, I usually play Guilty Gear and Johnny has 0 defensive options other than one frame jump and stuff everyone has.
That's exactly how I felt about Bang.
Yeah, so
no good.
Hey, Bang has guard points.
Shut up.
Hey, let's
Bang
not go
has
there.
supers.
He has guard points, man.
Hey, Johnny has defensive options.
No dragon punch.
Johnny has defensive options. He corners them in Bacchus size, and then they can't do anything. That's the greatest defense, right?
Yeah, it's true though. No, it's true though. That's true. Entirely true.
No, but an actual serious question from the stream. If we're done with this current subject.
Yeah, go ahead.
How is the Persona 4 scene in Japan right now? We don't really see much of it since there's very little in the way of coverage of the Japanese scene over here?
You know, one of the things is that I myself am not even that knowledgeable about it, and I pretty much, most of my experience with Persona is focused mainly on my own kind of exploration and learning the game. But I like to basically watch videos. I use GameYarth. If anybody who knows the link wants to post it to people so they can also check it out. It's very good site. I highly recommend it. It's in Japanese, unfortunately, but with a little bit of Google Translate or Rikai, it's quite helpful because it's just a aggregator for all match videos for most fighting games that people are interested in. So I generally try and at least every couple of days go on that site and watch every single video for the games I like, unless I get too bored. And people still do tournaments in Japan. Obviously, for every game, Japanese people just always run tournaments. They love having tournaments. I think that's really great.
Yeah.
And people still do net play tournaments and stuff too. I've heard. So it's. I think it's still thriving, and I know Giuna. Giuna would definitely know even more than me about this because he actually goes out there. He has the money to actually play in arcades, and he would definitely be a lot more knowledgeable about it. But I can say that I have heard secondhand. I forget from which Japanese player that due to the timing of new games coming out, Guilty Gear Plus R, BBCP. That in some sense, parts of the P4U community are gravitating towards separating it a little bit. So I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is, but I can definitely see that as it's going to happen, to a lot of people in America too. And I, for one, and I'm sure many others, played P4U because it feels nice in terms of the speed. It feels like Guilty Gear. Right? It feels like Guilty Gear a lot more so than, for example, BB. And I say, hey, this game, it moves nice. It feels really good to move around this game. So we'll see how things turn out.
Okay, and then let's see here. Oh my God, there's a picture of your Persona in the chat, and it's amazing.
Oh wait, hang on, really?
Yes,
Brett's
it has
Persona?
a spatula and a knife, and it's. Oh God, this is the greatest.
all right. I have to let the stream monsters know. This is your Persona.
Oh no, I think I know what this image is.
Oh God. Hey,
Oh
Brett,
God.
we do have a quick question for you from one of
Yeah.
the viewers. How do you feel about the new Plus R changes? Who got the most deserved, undeserved changes?
Ooh, I really like most of the Plus R changes.
Okay.
In fact, a lot of them I really like. I really actually like Testaments a lot. Because I think 40 Beast is a really dumb move in
Okay.
Accent Core. It's like one of the dumbest moves I can think of, honestly. And they made it very interesting. Now, a lot of people might complain that they think he's too weak, but his normals are incredible. And I've said this about almost any character who's any character who is strong and got nerfed in any version of Guilty Gear, I will always say as long as their normals are good, they're still probably going to be a strong character. Testament's normals are amazing, and they're still the same. No matter what they do, as long as that character doesn't have zero combos, as long as he has combos, I think he's gonna be great. And his new EXE Beast gives him amazing Oki and stuff. So I really like his change. I really like things like Bridget's change, for example, which is just basically making everything better and making everything better, but her prime gameplay is still fundamentally the same. Honestly, there's tons of changes that I really love. The one off the top of my head I dislike has got to be Abba's new Goku change. I actually don't know the full name of that move because I just call it Goku. It's like Goku something something. It's her install. It's her like dragon install, and they made it really, really good in Plus R. So yeah, Goku Moha. I don't like the new one because it seems like you should just always do it, and it seems extremely dominant. Now it's better than the old version where you didn't see it used very often, but it seems like something you should just always want to always use your meteor on, never ever always. And I pretty much dislike any move that you want to do 24/7. Like
so I just want to clarify. You're not talking about her basic install, are you?
No. I'm talking about her super install.
Okay. So
Yeah,
it's an advanced version of the install.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got it. Because I don't know too much about the character, but I do understand she's a.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's an install, so it's kind of like Dragon install. It makes her, it changes the property on how she gatlings, and it now importantly adds these new air dash cancels and jump cancels to special.
Oh my god!
Do normally it allows her to convert like anything to an amazing combo, and the super itself is comboable, and it has an attack hitbox when it comes out, so you can do, like on wake up and like block string into it, and it's really good.
Wait.
Really.
Sounds nuts.
Is it also invincible?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Because
Hopefully not.
Yeah, imagine if you could wake up, install, put someone into a block string afterwards. That would be
I
like.
hope it's not invincible. I have
We'll
seen,
have to keep track of that move.
Acid just wet himself a little bit. It's like, wait, I can wake up and mash buttons?
apparently
Wait,
it's
wait,
invincible.
wait.
People are saying in the chat apparently it does have invincibility frames. So
Wait, this is Jam, right?
say what?
This is Jam?
No, this
Zaba.
is not Jam.
No,
Unfortunately,
Zaba.
that's it.
Okay.
Zaba. Yeah.
Okay.
No, don't worry. I'm very used to not being able to press real moves on wake.
Yeah.
I do dumb things like wake up, crouch, slash.
Okay, so you don't plan to play ABBA though, right, Dacid?
No.
Good. Alright, I'm on her. We're good. We're good to go.
Scumbag Koopa again, huh?
Just had to make sure. Alright.
You always play the creepy, weird characters. What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with Tager? What's wrong with Shadow Labrys? They're both fun and loving
What's wrong with
individuals.
Shadow Labrys?
Shadow Labrys just wants to be loved. Come on.
Okay, Koopa.
Oh. Alright. So
You say so.
if you guys have found any other questions in the chat, go ahead and feel free to ask Brett right now.
So, let's see here. There's Mikey trying to troll, whatever. Go.
Good epic mafia moments since the last couple ones we had.
Ooh. I love Epic Mafia. There's so many good ones. I almost can't keep track. What's a good one? I can't even remember. Honestly, I think probably recently I actually gave like a whiteboard lecture on Mafia fundamentals. I opened a notepad and I typed up stuff because I just want to hammer some stuff in.
Let me give people a quick introduction. Like we're actually talking about like the card game Mafia, where you like hand out the cards and you're all like the doctor or the sheriff, or it's like that icebreaker game, but like there's a client for it on the internet, and Brett often will just host games and stream them, and it's pretty amazing. And I participated in a few of them, and we had some pretty phenomenal. So you got mad at people who sucked at it.
You played more than a few.
Yeah, I played a shitload of them.
I think one of the best ones though is T-Lock, SoCal player, being Hypno, the Pokemon, and killing people by whispering to them.
Wait, what?
In all chat, so everybody can see his whispers, and just trying to strike up conversations based on their favorite ice cream flavor or what movies they've seen, and then just straight out shooting and killing them when they don't answer. And then finding mafia people this way and being like 100% accurate.
Dude, if you think fighting games have Yomi, this game is like the predecessor of Yomi.
Yeah, it's a really good game, and I think if I have the time to, I think I do want to try and perhaps run an Epic Mafia game at Evo if I can.
So, speaking of T-Lock, by the way, T-Lock in chat did bring up a question. Since Shay is leaving SoCal about the same time that you're coming back to California, Brett, do you feel like there's any need for you to sort of become the second Shay, the son of Shay, as you will?
The son of Shay. I do like that name. That sounds funny. You know, if I was in SoCal and no one else stepped up, I would definitely do it, 100%. You know, if people need, you know, if there's no one else in SoCal who wants to run stuff, then I would do it just out of necessity. If you know, do I think I'm the most qualified for it? No, but a lot of things involved in, you know, tournament organizing and all kinds of stuff. It often doesn't come down to who's the most qualified, but just who has, you know, the willpower and you know, the spare time on their hands and, you know, less of a life to do it. I was kidding, but so you know, if I'm in SoCal and it seems like something that I should be doing, then I will do it. But whether or not I'm going to be in SoCal, I'm not sure about. But definitely if I am in SoCal and there is not someone else who can do that kind of stuff, then I will definitely, because, you know, prior to James running stuff, if you actually look back at SoCal history for things like BB and Guilty Gear, it was really on the down low. It was run by a guy who's known as ID ASZ, I believe. He's not the same ID as Saif from Team Run, but he's a different ID who played Carl, and he used to run Air Dashers Anonymous on Fridays at Family Fun Arcade. But I don't know if those are happening anymore, but he used to run that kind of stuff. So, you know, I feel like James did a really amazing job of kind of streamlining events. So I feel like hopefully someone will be able to pick that up, because looking back at the history before James stepped in, it was really scattered. And, you know, in fact, even early on, James was already running stuff, even while that kind of stuff was going, before I left for Japan. So you know, I think it might be a problem, but I hope you will step up to it. That's all it needs is just somebody to do it. You know, I mean, look at NorCal, look at NorCal Dogfight, right, which is another large monthly gathering for, you know, other games that NCI does not have the time to run. That's, you know, run currently by Decania and a couple other NorCal folk together, simply be out of necessity, and they just did it. There's, you know, they didn't have any special credentials for it, or, you know, particularly amazing background in tournament organizing. They just did what they needed to be done. That's, you know, that's why a lot of things end up being in the community.
Okay. So T-Lock would also like to point out that Family Fun Arcade is closing. So the next question is, what do you think about the American arcade scene? Like, what can you think of coming from the Japanese arcades that can help with American arcades?
Ooh, you know, I'm really sad to hear FFA is closing. I spent a lot of time there, actually, you know, when I was in SoCal, and it's always a bad thing to see arcades close. And, you know, how would I go about saving American arcades? That's a really tough question. The chat's really good about bringing up thought-provoking questions for me.
And by chat, we really just mean T-Lock.
No,
kidding.
Yeah,
kidding.
yes, thank you, T-Lock. But no, seriously, you know, American arcades, I mean, it's a cultural thing. We can talk about arcades in Japan. It's a full package. You know, arcades are the way they are in Japan because of Japan. And, you know, it has a lot to do. Well, it doesn't have a lot to do, but there's a lot of different related issues. For example, you know, people don't like hanging out at home in Japan as much. You know, the same reason why love hotels are popular, right? A lot of people live with their parents and stuff in maybe small places. not a lot of space to hang out, and arcades fill a huge gap in gaming community as a place to hang out. And Japan's a lot smaller than America. You just have more people around an area that can be called locals relative to an arcade. Look at a largely populated area like LA, huge city. It's still one of the most spread out places in America. And, it's no surprise that you need a car to get everywhere, even though you're living in LA. So, distance is a problem, Culturally, too, I mean, comparing American gaming culture, consoles versus, PC, net cafes, arcades, looking at all that kind of stuff compared to how Japan handles it, that kind of stuff's also different. So, how would I suggest saving American arcades? It's, regardless, it's going to come down to money, right? Arcades are going to pop up if there's money involved in it. And right now, it doesn't look like enough people are, coming out to arcades to play. So perhaps it's our responsibility to try and make those environments worth coming to over, staying at home, net playing PC games, something like that. Mm-hmm. Not to mention, a lot of arcades deal with like niche Japanese fighting games and stuff to begin with. There aren't really that many American arcade games aside from stuff like stuff to win tickets and prizes. So we don't really have that, and people don't develop arcade games in America. It's kind of an import niche, so it's hard to say. I would say, as an arcade runner, do what like Game Center is doing. Run lots of tournaments, get your name out there, do as much work to get the community involved. It's going to be niche. I think it's really hard to try and make it streamlined business. So you might as well try and push the niche as hard as you can. Run tournaments all the time. You look at Japanese arcades, look at Mikado, they run tournaments every 2 to 3 days. And sure, it's only like 100 yen entry, which is like $1.25 entry. But run them constantly, have more events. Just bring more exposure. Get people to realize there is reason to travel to arcades. And people, I think, just assume that, I could go out there and play, but I could just stay at home and play or just do whatever. You got to tell them the reason why it's better to come out and not just support your game, support your community,
So Brett, you think that, the Acho model would probably be better for us then? Just having tournaments on random-ass things? Puyo Puyo 2,
We've actually been talking about this at Game Center. We've been talking about like
tournaments. Period is better.
Like we had a Magical Drop 3 tournament, and it was actually sick.
I love that. That was the first time I've been beaten in Magical Drop 3 because I've never actually played anyone other than coworkers and like random friends.
Yeah, I think that is actually a very good idea, and we've been talking about it a lot at Game Center. I think, other than just having like random sporadic tournaments and like seeing what the response is, I think the other only real answer to that is that the only thing an arcade offers in America is a true public experience. You will not meet anywhere else unless it's like a tournament and it's like a major tournament. The only place that you could just randomly meet new players is pretty much an arcade. Otherwise, they're not offering anything in America. It's basically just any room with a TV could host a tournament, right? So why, quote unquote, why do we need an arcade? But like, what an arcade does is it actually legitimately offers a chance for people to meet each other, and I think that that's still valuable.
Definitely, yeah. Actually, you totally made me realize another huge point, which is getting new players in. I think arcades are great for that. And we should probably, I think another good way is to try and make your arcade more welcoming to new players. I like what Dekanya has been doing with Game Center and running things like Danisens and kind of these other events, not just tournaments, but ways to get people to play lots of casuals. That's really awesome. I think they should have more of that too.
Well, that's cool. Let's see here. So, speaking of just having random tournaments, Brett, do you think that you would be good enough at high school Japanese to throw down with me in Quiz Magic Academy?
Ooh, Quiz Magic Academy? Like, you want to have a one-on-one match?
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
is there like a console port of that?
I think they put it on DS. I think I have that around here somewhere.
Okay. I've never actually tried playing Quiz Magic Academy, though I have definitely. I look up to those people who are so into Quiz Magic Academy at the arcades that they pull out their notebook and they actually take notes on the questions. It's so cool. I would love to try it. I'd probably, get destroyed, but why not? That sounds like fun. If anything, even if I fail, it'll be hopefully entertaining for some people. But, I would like to try that game at some point.
All right, I'll have to try and dig up my.
I really want to have a tournament for.
What?
I really want to have a tournament for Phantom Dust.
What is Phantom Dust?
I think that would be amazing. Phantom
It's an
Dust is
Xbox card
basically
game.
an Xbox action rendition of a card game. It's like you have a deck, you pull your cards, and you fight each other.
Is this like? Wait, that's it?
Well, it's deeper than that. It's like defensive and offensive, but like it plays similar to Magic the Gathering.
But you actually control characters and you move around in an arena.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, interesting.
It's really sick. I would love to have a tournament for that sometime.
Could we go full Yu-Gi-Oh on this and have people shout out their card names?
Oh,
and
I would.
I
have
believe
their
that's
dual
mandatory.
disc launchers and everything.
I think that would be required for tournament rules. You cannot play a card unless you scream the name out.
I think
You
I
might
would
as
be
well
good with that.
Work on the rules,
Yeah.
but I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, perfect.
Make everybody dress up and stuff.
Get fully. Oh, we could bring up Shay for that because he's always loved his Seto Kaiba, so we could get him in that popped collar, and he would pull out the most expensive cards. Oh, that would be hype.
I'm already imagining that in my head. Looks beautiful. Amazing.
And then we could use the Shay machine, guys.
Yeah, we actually bought that. We didn't use it though.
Oh my
Oh man, Unmay is challenging me to Coldcept too. I am a king of Coldcept. Let's box. Let's do this.
Shay purchased a smoke machine and patented it as a Shay machine because no other tournament organizer had one. And immediately NorCal bought a Shay machine too, and we haven't used it yet, but it exists here. So we'll finally have an excuse to use our.
Oh man.
Hey Brett, I do have a question from the stream chat to you, if you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Arc System work games are coming out a little too fast? Yes or no? And why?
Well, as somebody who sat on Guilty Gear Accent Core for 5 or 6 years now, I don't even know how old that game is. 7? I don't know. 2006 maybe, so 6 years. It's better than no games. Honestly, it's pretty first world problem level if you're going to really complain about, new versions coming out, in my opinion. I mean, new content is not really necessarily a bad thing. Nothing's stopping you from playing the old versions of games, right? So it kind of feels a little spoiled to say things like they're coming out too fast. Now, that being said, there are a lot of versions coming out. I really like the Plus R one. I don't really have much comment on BB's CP because I haven't really, done too much digging up info regarding it. I've heard various things about it. I pretty much, Extend kind of flew totally through one ear out the other. I literally know nothing about that. I literally am probably going to go from CS2 to CP. But, I think there's enough people who like the changes. I think a lot of people liked Extend compared to CS2. If people are generally happy with any single transition, I don't really see the problem with, lots of releases. I really think it's a lot better than just having, no releases. I'd like to see, for example, a new version of H&K or FUC, even though that game's not, Arc System works. But, you
Really?
know
Made
it.
unlimited codes? Really?
Yeah. Oh, I would play the crap out of that game.
Would you play Archer?
Yeah, of course I do. He's a sword.
Oh, of course. Well,
He has two swords.
Two swords.
He does. I actually technically I play Assassin too, but that character's like too bad, so I don't really play him. I do think Assassin's cool too, though.
Now I kind of realize what Dasper was saying earlier. I played Dark Sakura.
Yeah,
See?
yeah. I could have guessed that. You should have given me the opportunity to. Could I guess that for money? Can we rewind?
Oh no.
Oh god, I remember translating the ending of Shadow Lab vs. Arcade Mode to you, and you're like, "Oh, wow, I guess I have an angry wife." Okay.
That's how it goes.
Is Shadow Labyrinth like the clingy girlfriend?
Her voice sample for the ending in Arcade Mode is, "You're the only one who understands me. Let's go crush the world."
What?
Yes. Let's go destroy the world. You
Fucking
and I.
anime.
But anyway, okay. There was an actual question here, and I'm trying to remember it. T-Lock keeps asking us, predict the top 4 of NEC, which is coming up soon.
For what-
Is it
so-
NorCal only, or will
So it's Philly,
SoCal
actually.
be
It's East
covered?
Coast.
Oh, and East Coast?
It's East Coast.
He's talking about Northeast Championships, not NCI.
Oh, you said NEC. Oh, NEC.
Okay, well I'll help.
Well,
you
who are the Japanese people going? Because I actually don't know.
Kirisame, Dora, and Soji.
For P4U?
Dora's probably not playing P4U.
But Soji is, right?
They're the Persona qualifiers.
Who was the first person? I didn't catch it.
Kirisame.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm gonna say, Soji first.
But Kirisame beat him in the qualifiers.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, Jinx, you owe me a soda.
I mean, I 3 Japanese players and the best, the best on the American side. I'm not sure, honestly, I haven't really been watching that much American footage, let alone Japanese footage. But even American footage, I haven't really seen that much of, aside from the occasional level up live. And yeah, I watched a couple of the early NCIs, but that's about it. But if SKD is entering Super Kawaii Desu, then I could see him in top 4. Hard to say. I don't have that much information to really base it on. It's pretty much just my gut. But I do think that Super Kawaii Desu. I don't think Pain. I don't think the Biter.
You don't think Pain, huh?
Yeah, I don't think Pain. I just don't think Kanji matchup is gonna be very good against Japanese players.
He's Aegis now.
Oh, he plays Aegis now.
Changes things.
Yeah, that does change things. I could see Pain then. I could see Pain. Yeah.
But what about
my grand finals is Kirisame and Soji, and my top 5 includes Lord Knight, SKD, and Pain.
That's what I thought.
That's about all I know.
So Dacid, actually, that brings up a point. Do you think that you would be able to make it out to NEC?
In the event that I win the upcoming qualifier, I would place myself in top 5.
That's very humble of you.
If I don't win the qualifier, I'm not going.
All right.
When's the qualifier?
It's at NCI upcoming.
Yep.
November 10th.
Okay. Good luck for that.
Thank you.
Is it just one spot, or how many spots is it? Okay.
One.
So you gotta win that thing.
Yep.
Although, are Pain and Apology Man allowed to enter?
They can, but they won't win it because they're already qualified.
I don't
Okay.
think they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably have to see Pain play before I can really make some, judgment calls. I mean, Aegis is really strong. The only thing I'd probably have to say would be if you play American Aegis versus Japanese players. On the one hand, mix up strong and you can even hit Japanese people. On the other hand, how will you respond to proper Japanese defense? Do you have what it takes to go beyond your character? And are you comfortable enough playing around, not just relying on, for example, mix-ups or pressure, but are you not saying you can't deal with it, but are you familiar enough about playing around it?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So if you have, because you obviously won't have the experience, right? No matter how good your Aegis, for example, is, no matter who you're playing, if you only play against people who just are not able to block it and you blow them up, no matter how good you are, if you just don't have the experience in actually seeing, if you see people block your stuff and react, if you just don't have that experience, even if you image train really hard, I think it's going to be a little bit of a problem. Now, is that going to be the game breaker? Maybe, maybe not. But that's just when I think of, any problems that you'd encounter, that's probably the...
I am very confident that Payne will be able to deal with that because I play him a lot and I have a lot of experience blocking Aegis. I'm not always the best at it, but I have certainly blocked some of the more difficult mix-ups.
That's good. I'd like to see him do well. I think P4 is a game where we can do well in. I think relative to other games because it's a new game and we're not as far behind compared to, for example, Guilty Gear.
Right.
Where they just have an indefinite amount of experience ahead of us. So I think P40 is a great game to try and see this come out in.
Another question from D-Lock, actually. If you have the knowledge that Breaker Dave and James Shea are also heading out to the East Coast, Brett, do you change your answers at all?
Well, I pretty much, I didn't know Payne was Aegis, so, if there's no others, then I'd probably say, James and Payne. I haven't seen James play in a while, but I've seen zero of Payne, which is both a good and a bad thing. Because I can imagine him being really amazing, maybe more so than he is. I give players the benefit of the doubt, so I'm gonna be like, I haven't seen Payne play, and people are saying really good, and he's gotta be amazing, and he probably is, But I have seen James play, and it's not that it's bad, but I have knowledge, which is always gonna, for me, when put in perspective, be a little less scary. But I could see James doing as well as Payne. I mean, they both come from good environments. I don't see if Payne can get there, I don't see why James can't. Breaker Dave, I have not seen any play from. I only know results from. I know he does well.
I feel like Breaker's a bit unstable. I think his defense is still a bit questionable. I think James is absolutely a top 5 player, though.
I like Teddy, though, just on character choice. I think Teddy can definitely do well against Japanese players. Character's amazing.
Okay. Let's see here. Well, Pedro Morales asks, why is Yosuke such a bad character when you can play Akihiko? But I'm pretty sure he's trolling with that one. So...
I'm pretty sure he is as well.
Yeah.
I love Yosuke, man. Yosuke is amazing.
Yosuke's fun.
Oh, actually, that's a fair question. Going back to Guilty Gear. That's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Cliff and Justice being on the Guilty Gear roster now?
New characters are always cool in Guilty Gear.
Okay.
How long has Guilty Gear been out? And I don't think very few characters, can be really considered stale. I think I said this before on my own stream, but perhaps only Axel maybe is the only character I feel a little bit stale about. Even the boring quote unquote Shoto-ish characters I still think are really awesome. Kai and Soul, they're still hype. So more characters is always good, I think, with respect to Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear is already a game with a huge roster. It's intensely character matchup specific, matchup driven, amongst other things. So, you might as well throw more characters. Cliff and Justice have been in the game for a while. I think they'll definitely satisfy a lot of fans. And just in terms of competitive play, both of them seem really interesting, especially now that Justice doesn't have air dashes and stuff when he's not in an install, or she, I don't know, I guess she. She looks pretty different. Cliff looks really good here. I've been watching Plus R videos, and Cliff looks really insane.
Can he still combo off of his taunt? That's really my question.
The taunt being
When
the
he
one
shoots
that
out the
does
letters,
Bak-
Bakamon!
I think you can. You should be able to. I've seen players use it. It looks the same as before. That character Cliff honestly looks really obnoxious. I can already tell watching that I'm gonna have trouble against that character. He looks really fun to play as though. On the plus side, I'll definitely be subbing him. So I think it's great. Yeah, no complaints. Amazing. Just hope that they are not too strong. But I think we'll be okay. I don't think Cliff is gonna be super top tier for a long time. Hopefully.
Okay. Oh, and then this brings me back to an earlier question. You called Bridget a she. Does that mean that you just are in denial? Does this mean that you subscribe to a certain half of the community's drawings, shall we say?
Just a female voice actor. There you go.
Good answer.
So you believe Goku is a girl also?
Oh, you got me there.
That was quick.
You think Carl is a girl?
Yes.
Yes. So now I only have two choices from here. I can lie, or I can just admit defeat.
Sounds like mafia.
Yeah. So Goku's obviously a guy.
Or did I claim?
Goku's obviously a guy. I'll just say.
Is this
Bridget's
really going?
only a boy. Bridget's only a boy because of some writing you had, right? So if you didn't speak English and you didn't or any language and you were like a caveman, you would think it's a girl, right? So you're simply being influenced by exterior information to think that Bridget's the guy.
If I had a
right?
gun, I'd shoot you right now, Brett.
Right? Right?
Okay. Anyway, we should probably get to the part where we start promoting various events or streams like that. So, Brett, since you are the guest, I'll have you start first. Where can they find you on the internet?
Oh yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/thebrett. That's probably the easiest way to find me. I have Twitter at Kazmadan, KZMEDAN, Facebook at facebook.com/UBWTV. I highly just recommend my stream since it's on almost 24/7, and I'm always there to answer any more questions you have about whether I think certain characters are a boy or girl.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Should I take it away from here too?
Go for it.
Koopa.
Okay. And here's our weekly schedule. Every other Monday, we have the One More podcast with myself, Dasbro, and Vibrating Sheep. And we'll try to get more people on the podcast as well. If you have anyone that you think might be a perfect fit for this podcast, be sure to message us on Twitter or Facebook. Damn!
What?
Okay.
What?
Alright. And every Monday, we also have
What
a
was
general
that?
stream. It's Brett typing on the fucking keyboard!
Yo, I'm sorry.
It's alright.
I'm sorry.
It's alright. Every Monday at 9 p.m. PST, we have a general stream as well with the Spirit Juice. Every Friday at 8:30 p.m. PST with the Midnight Challenge, which is Persona 4 Arena Tournament /Rambat with NorCal's best Persona players. And this coming November 10th at 2:30 p.m. PST, we have NorCal Install, which features Persona 4 Arena, BlazBlue, Aquapaza, Guilty Gear, and more.
Like Project Justice.
Oh, hopefully we can have that again. It's so hype.
Oh man, we can money match the board game. That would be the greatest.
Why don't you guys just have a hat and just pull games out of a bag and run tournaments on the spot?
We've thought about it.
I think you guys should think about that more. Sounds great.
All right. So anyway, Koopa, you had more?
No, actually, we are set to go.
Oh, okay. Well, I would like to mention Fanime, which was brought up by Brett. Brett, hey, do you have any experience running events? Would you like to be program director? because
What?
the current director of programming is pregnant, and she'll have a baby right around Fanime, and the next in line is me, and I really don't want to do it.
Oh my god.
So, would you like to run
Uh.
all of the programming at Fanime? You're a nice young man. You seem to have a good head on your shoulders. I think you can deal with people really well, and you're not me, and it wouldn't be me doing it. So, Brett, maybe you could do me a solid. And
Sounds like you guys should talk about it for sure.
Probably not on the One More podcast. What?
I'll think about it.
Oh,
I
actually,
feel like you just got proposed to, like on stream. Like, there's such a social incentive.
Well, that's the thing. I've been walking around anime meetings for the past year looking for people to be my seahorse because I need to get pregnant to dodge the draft. So
Right.
that's the only way I can possibly get out of this, right? Since my boss is pregnant, I have to get pregnant too, so I don't have to take over for her.
Isn't that like a
Well,
Arnold
good luck
Schwarzenegger
getting
movie
pregnant.
where the guy gets pregnant?
It is. I want my Larry.
You could do that.
So anyway,
That's all.
that's probably how we should sign off with the One More podcast here at twitch.tv/finestko.
are we
This-
seriously ending it on that?
This has been Vibrating Sheep.
I can't think of anything
I'm-
better.
I'm Dazim.
I'm Koopa.
I'm Brett. Thanks, guys.
Good night.